Why would you even bother making this? I don't want handmade junk. That's what Claire said as she tossed the wooden box I had spent months crafting straight into the trash. I didn't argue. I just sat there, stunned, listening to the hollow thud as my 3 months of labor hit the bottom of the bin. My name is Ethan. I'm 38, and I make custom wood art boxes, sculptures, decorative pieces that take hundreds of hours to perfect. Not furniture exactly, more like something you'd see in a gallery, something meant to last. I left the corporate world 8 years ago to follow this craft, and it's been the best decision I ever made. I've been quietly proud of my work, even when the money wasn't great. Claire and I had been together for 4 years. She's 35, works in high-end real estate, and makes a significant income, usually more than I do. She never let me forget it. Little comments here and there about how I play with wood while she handled real work. I let it slide. When things were good, they were spectacular. But recently, they weren't. More bad days than good. Yesterday was our anniversary, and I had spent every spare moment of the last 3 months building something extraordinary for her. Jewelry box unlike anything I'd ever made before. Walnut and maple inlays, hand-carved floral patterns, dovetailed joints so precise you couldn't slip a credit card between them. Secret compartments with magnetic catches. This was not just a gift. It was a testament to my craft, to patience, to care. Dinner was at home. Candles, her favorite meal, everything perfect. I handed her the box with a mix of excitement and nervousness, hoping she'd see what I saw. Claire unwrapped it slowly, inspected it, and said nothing. Not a smile. Not a hint of surprise. Just silence. She finally asked, "What is it?" "It's a jewelry box," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "For your collection." She picked it up, turned it in her hands, and said flatly, "I thought you were getting me the Tiffany bracelet we saw last month." I felt my chest tighten. "I couldn't afford that right now," I explained. Business had slowed, commissions weren't coming in as quickly. I had poured time, energy, and skill into something meaningful, and this was her reaction. Then she did it. She stood up, walked into the kitchen, and without another word, tossed the box in the trash. I sat frozen for a long minute, heart pounding, mind racing. 3 months of work, hundreds of hours meticulously crafted, thrown away like it was worthless. I got up, walked into the kitchen, and retrieved the box. There were coffee grounds on one corner, but otherwise, it was intact. I wiped it off carefully, my hands shaking slightly. Claire was on the phone in the bedroom, laughing with her friend about the handmade junk her boyfriend had dared to give her. I wrapped the box in bubble wrap, loaded it into my truck, and left without a word. I drove to Hartwell Gallery downtown, a small but respected space where I had sold a few pieces in the past. Patricia, the owner, greeted me with a surprised smile as I carried the box inside. She didn't need words to recognize its quality. She lifted it, examined the inlay, the joints, the secret compartments. "Where have you been hiding this?" she asked finally. "This is gallery quality work." I explained briefly what had happened. She nodded, understanding, and began photographing the piece for appraisal. Within minutes, she had already assessed a value between $8,000 and $10,000. My jaw dropped. All that time, all that effort, finally recognized not by someone who didn't understand, but by someone who truly appreciated craftsmanship. I felt a clarity I hadn't felt in months. The betrayal of Claire's rejection didn't sting anymore. It wasn't about her anymore. It was about my work, my value, and the people who could see it. The next morning, I woke early, brewed a strong coffee, and headed straight to my workshop. Claire had already left for work. Her car gone before 8 a.m. I didn't feel relief or anger, just a strange, quiet determination. Over the next 2 days, Patricia handled the appraisal and photography professionally. She brought in an independent appraiser, someone familiar with fine woodworking, and he confirmed her initial assessment, comparable. Pieces had sold for between $8,000 and $12,000. The gallery decided to list my box at $10,500. Placing it in the front window where the light highlighted the walnut and maple inlay perfectly, I went back to my routine, finishing commissions, reorganizing my tools, thinking little of Claire. That is, until my phone blew up with missed calls and texts. 8 missed calls, 15 messages from her. She had walked past Hartwell Gallery during her lunch break and seen the box displayed with the price tag clearly visible. I read her frantic texts, all demanding to know what the hell was happening. But I didn't call. I replied once, "The handmade junk found a home with someone who appreciates it." Then I muted her notifications and returned to work, focusing on my craft rather than her reaction. By the time I returned home, she was waiting in the driveway. Her face was flushed with anger and disbelief. She stormed to the door as I unlocked it, demanding to know if that was really my box, if someone was actually going to pay $10,000 for it. I calmly told her it might sell for that Patricia had serious buyers, and that it was properly appraised. Watching her expression shift from fury to calculation was almost mesmerizing. She backtracked, apologizing, saying she hadn't meant to hurt me, claiming she was stressed at work. She even suggested she should get part of the sale, maybe use it for a vacation, or finally buy that Tiffany bracelet. I told her the money was mine. My skill, my hours, my craft wasn't hers to claim. That's when the real argument began. She called me petty, vindictive, accused me of punishing her for one mistake. I explained calmly, for the first time, that it wasn't about the money. It was about respect. 3 months of my life had gone into that box, and she had thrown it away without a second thought. She wanted to see the value only when a price tag validated it. That, I realized, was the exact point. She never valued effort, thoughtfulness, or skill unless it came with a label or a sticker. The betrayal wasn't just the trashing it was what it revealed about her character. After a long pause, she tried to apologize again, claiming she truly loved me and wanted to make it right. I asked her when she had really loved me before or after she discovered the price. She stumbled over her words, unable to answer. That silence told me everything I needed to know. I didn't yell. I didn't plead. I just let her words die in the empty kitchen while I returned to my workshop, to the things that mattered: my craft, my life, and my future. The following week, a breakthrough arrived. The collector who had expressed interest in the jewelry box reached out to Patricia about a custom commission. His name was Michael. He lived in San Francisco, and he wanted a piece similar in style and complexity to the box. With a budget of $12,000, I was ecstatic. This wasn't just a sale, it was validation, recognition, and the beginning of something real. Michael flew in 2 weeks later, spending hours examining my workshop, asking detailed questions about my process, my materials, and my inspiration. It was invigorating to be seen for my craft, not judged by a brand, a label, or an Instagram post. That commission opened doors. Within a month, 2 more galleries in Denver and Portland reached out, asking to represent my work. Patricia helped me refine my portfolio, coordinated new displays, and encouraged me to raise my rates. The opportunities were multiplying, and for the first time, I felt not only stability but momentum. Claire's presence, her dismissive laugh, her obsession with labels, it all faded behind the clarity of my new path. I realized the heartbreak, the disrespect, and even her later apologies were just milestones, teaching me what I deserved and what I should never compromise. Weeks after the breakup, life started to feel lighter, sharper, more focused. I had a rhythm again, the one I'd lost when Claire's dismissive voice and her constant comparisons had dominated my thoughts. Michael's commission was progressing beautifully, and for the first time, I didn't feel the gnawing anxiety that my work would go unappreciated. Each cut, each inlay, every careful joint reminded me why I had left the corporate world. This was mine, my vision, my effort, my legacy. One afternoon, I received a call from a local arts magazine. They were doing a feature on emerging artisans in the city and wanted to highlight my journey, my process, and my pieces. Patricia had recommended me. The photo shoot was intense, yet invigorating every tool in my workshop. Each piece displayed carefully, the jewelry box from the gallery in the background. Michael had given permission for images of his commissioned box to be used, and the magazine emphasized craftsmanship, patience, and the story behind each creation. When the article finally went live, it felt surreal. My website traffic exploded, emails and calls flooded in, galleries wanting to display my work, collectors seeking commissions. The moment I realized I couldn't keep up with the demand, I knew something had shifted. Claire reached out once, just a link to the article with a single word. Wow, I didn't respond. The past didn't need commentary. The woman who had thrown months of my effort into the trash was now seeing what she couldn't value before. She had missed the meaning entirely, and no amount of money or apology could change that. Then came the day I met Rachel, a librarian, curious and genuinely interested, not in the price of my work, but in the story behind it. She spent an afternoon in the workshop, watching me carve and shape wood. She asked questions, laughed at minor mistakes, and appreciated the time and care poured into each creation. When I gave her a small handcrafted wooden bookmark, she cried. Not because it was valuable, but because someone had made it for her, with thought and intention. That was the difference, and it felt like a revelation. Months passed, and the commissions kept rolling in. Michael became a regular client, his friends following suit, requesting pieces of their own. The gallery displays, the magazine feature, and the recognition gave me a platform I'd never imagined. I was selective now, choosing projects that challenged my skills and pushed the boundaries of my craft. Claire's shadow no longer loomed over my life. Her dismissal of my work had inadvertently pushed me into the career I had always wanted. She had shown me clearly what I deserved, more importantly, what I didn't. The day I opened my own studio, a small space combining workshop and gallery, felt like a new beginning. Patrons, friends, family, they all came, witnessing firsthand the dedication and skill behind every piece. Claire appeared outside, briefly glancing through the window before leaving. I didn't follow her gaze. I was no longer seeking validation from someone incapable of understanding my world. My work, my time, my effort, those were my currency now, and those who valued them were the ones who mattered. It was a moment of clarity, a turning point. The jewelry box that once lay in the trash had become a symbol of everything I had endured, everything I had built from scratch, and the people who truly mattered in my life. Claire's rejection no longer defined me. It had propelled me, and in the quiet, steady rhythm of my workshop, with Rachel's laughter echoing softly in the background, I realized that the life I had dreamed of was finally mine to create. About 5 months after the breakup, my life had found a steady rhythm I hadn't known in years. My commissions were booked solid, galleries wanted representation, and the magazine feature had put my name on the map. I was working on a particularly intricate piece for Michael Maple, and walnut with hidden compartments and a delicate carved motif when I heard the familiar sound of the front door. Claire had let herself in, using the key she still had. I set down my tools, wiped my hands on a rag, and looked up. She stood there, hesitant, like someone caught in a storm of regret. "We need to talk," she said, her voice quieter than I expected. I didn't flinch. "About what?" I asked, my tone neutral, calm, controlled. She looked around, eyes widening as she took in the studio, the pieces laid out meticulously on workbenches, the new commissions stacked in neat order. All this. "It's amazing," she said, almost in awe. I nodded, silent. She continued, "I understand now. I messed up. I didn't see what I had. I listened, measuring every word. Did you understand before or after the price tag?" I asked, calmly. Her hesitation was telling. She faltered, trying to reframe, to insist it wasn't about money. But every word she spoke circled back to recognition, commissions, visibility. Never me, never our relationship. "Ethan, I love you. I made a mistake. I want a chance to make it right," she said, stepping closer. I took a slow breath, feeling the calm certainty I hadn't felt in months. "You already made your choice, Claire. You threw months of my work away. That choice told me everything I needed to know about us." Her eyes filled with tears, real ones this time, as she tried to argue, to justify, to reclaim a relationship she had already forfeited. I remained steady. "I've moved on. I'm building something real here, my craft, my life, my future." That ship sailed the moment the box hit the trash. Everything else is irrelevant. Claire tried one last tactic, stepping forward as if to hug me. I stepped back. "I'll drop your things at Tara's place this weekend. That's it. We're done talking." She lingered, searching for a reaction, a crack in my armor. There was none. Finally, defeated, she left. The front door closed behind her with a finality that felt like sunlight breaking through months of storm clouds. In the quiet that followed, I returned to my workshop. The saws, chisels, and planes were not just tools. They were instruments of freedom, of self-worth, of creation. The boxes, the carvings, the commissions, they were tangible proof of everything I had built on my own terms. Claire's rejection had been sharp, but it had been the catalyst that led me here. 2 weeks later, Michael returned to see his completed commission. He examined every detail, opened hidden compartments, tested the delicate mechanisms. He was thrilled, paid the balance immediately, and commissioned 2 more smaller pieces, $8,000 each. His friends were also interested, creating a ripple effect that kept my schedule full for months. For the first time, my talent, my time, and my effort were recognized and valued without compromise. And there, amidst the whir of the lathe and the scent of fresh-cut wood, I realized I had everything I needed. Recognition from those who mattered, freedom to pursue my passion, and the confidence to never again let someone who couldn't appreciate my worth dictate my self-value. Claire's absence was a relief, not a loss. What she had failed to see was now mine to build, to protect, and to celebrate. For months after the final encounter with Claire, I opened my own studio, a combination workshop and gallery. It was small but perfect, carefully arranged so that each piece of wood art, each box, sculpture, and intricate carving had its own space to breathe. Patrons, friends, and family came to see the work, to witness the dedication, the precision, and the love poured into every piece. For the first time, I felt fully seen, not for what I earned, not for a label, not for a brand, but for my craft, my skill, and my vision. Claire showed up once, outside the gallery window, dressed up, looking through the glass for 10 minutes before quietly leaving. She never entered. I didn't watch her. I was surrounded by people who mattered, those who valued what I created and respected the effort behind it. I realized that the jewelry box that had once been discarded as junk had become a symbol of my worth. Not its $10,000 price tag, but the recognition of skill, patience, and intention. The value had always been there. She just couldn't see it by then. Rachel had become a part of my life. Her curiosity, genuine interest, and appreciation for the process reminded me every day why I pursued this path. She asked questions, marveled at the hidden compartments, and saw the beauty in creation, not the cost. When I gave her a small handcrafted bookmark, she held it close, crying not for its monetary value, but for the thought and care embedded within it. That was the connection I had been searching for all along, a mutual respect for creativity and meaning. The commissions continued to grow. Michael remained a steady client, and his network brought me more opportunities than I had imagined possible. Galleries in Denver, Portland, and beyond sought my pieces for display. I had become selective, taking only the projects that challenged me, that pushed the boundaries of my craft. My reputation flourished, my work commanded attention, and for the first time, I felt completely in control of my own life, my own worth, and my own future. Claire never returned after that day at the gallery window. She reached out once by email, apologizing, claiming she had grown, that she understood what she had lost. I read it twice and deleted it. There was nothing left to forgive. Some bridges burn completely, and some lessons are too important to unlearn. What mattered now were the people who truly valued me, the craft that defined me, and the life I had built from the fragments of rejection. The jewelry box, once dismissed, had shown me that recognition and respect were far more valuable than any label, price tag, or fleeting relationship. In the quiet hum of my workshop, surrounded by wood, tools, and creation, I finally understood what it meant to be appreciated for who I truly was, and that was priceless.